You too.
Ona.
Ona.
Okay, I'll just with comms, just to give me a thumbs up. I'm not sure if I see anybody from comms.
Yeah, Katie hasn't signed in yet.
Okay.
Just an FYI.
Thanks, Brooke. Okay, well, I'm going to just continue moving along so I don't waste anybody's time. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. When comms gets here is when we'll go live. Hopefully they get here soon. So again, welcome to General Council of August 9th. I'll first begin with identifying any media on the line. Thank you, Bree from the Turtle Island. I also see Donna from the Two Row Times. Good evening, ladies. Okay, we've just done our opening address prior to our live stream. I'll now go to any changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda. Michelle?
Can I just add the request from the Rivermen? I know it's likely going to be deferred to a finance meeting, but I wanted to ensure that everybody's aware.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. Anything further? Okay, seeing or hearing none, then I'll look to a mover and seconder to adopt the General Council agenda of August 9th with the one new business edition.
I'll move, Mark. Audrey.
Second.
Audrey, seconded by Michelle. All in favor?
Favor.
Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. We do have a couple delegations this evening. Our first delegation is Matt Jamieson and Nicole Kohoko from the Development Corporation in relation to the rescinding of the motions regarding the Lake Erie Connector project. So I'll just pass the floor right over to yourself, Matt. Walk us through, as we all are aware, this unfortunate.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. So yeah, I don't want to take much time. I did send in a memo to the council. It is, there was a public release about the Lake Erie Connector project. I just wanted to come from the council because we did spend a lot of time on this in collaboration with the council and the community. There was a lot of work done. It's unfortunate that, we took up, the evenings and weekends and of our employees and our community members to participate in the process, but the macroeconomic circumstances in this day and age with commodity pricing and inflation and interest rates and a whole bunch of other things, we're working against the project, and ultimately the parent of ITC Holdings, Fortis had no choice but to pull the project and place it on an indefinite suspension. And so I wanted to come before council just to share that there was nothing that the community could have done, the council could have done, the DevCorp could have done, or frankly, Fortis or ITC, because the market conditions were simply working against the project. Just to reiterate, the Development Corporation did enter into a capacity funding arrangement with ITC Holdings. And so all of the costs associated with our work to do the due diligence, legal, environmental, all the technical works, all of those costs are going to be fully covered by the capacity funding agreement that we entered into with ITC. So we're not out of pocket. It's just unfortunate there was an opportunity cost associated with our time and effort and energy to pursue this project, and not to have it go through it's a bit of a sad story. Nonetheless, it is what it is. I wanted to really come before council to make the recommendation for this council to rescind the motion to approve that was approved in July 13th. I do expect at some point in the future this project may come back to life. It will likely come back to life with potentially a different owner. And whomever that owner is, when it might happen, I wanted to make sure the council's records are clear, that this was digested at one point and it has been rescinded now, so that there is a new owner. They'll have to start the dialogue with the community with respect to any potential benefits or negotiations over, because I don't expect the same value proposition will be on the table with a different owner in the future.
Okay, excuse me. Thank you, Matt, for providing us with that. I'm going to go to questions and any comments. I first see Michelle had her hand raised.
So I'll move recommendation 1 And I anticipate, with the volatility of the economy right now, I mean, we're probably going to see some other entities not come to fruition. So, yeah, I'll move that.
Okay, thanks for that. Michelle, is there a seconder?
I'll second it, Melba.
Okay, I'm going to go with Melba as a seconder. Thank you, Helen and Carrie. Are there any further questions or comments? So just really quickly, if I can, Matt. So, I mean, obviously, we were looking at, of the revenues that specific project was bringing in. What is now the discussion happening at the DevCorp in your table and team to look at the other any potential other opportunities, really? I mean, obviously, I know it's always ongoing, but I mean, I think to get so far into that project and then to kind of pull the plug at the 11th hour is always disheartening.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, so we do have a pipeline of opportunities that are emerging right now. Of course, we've got the United Energy Storage project, which is continuing to advance forward. It too, though, is facing some of the same macroeconomic circumstances with respect to commodity pricing. Specifically, lithium has gone up several 100% since we originally proposed the project. But we do believe we're going to get there where we need to be with the project, and so I'm pretty comfortable that will come online and we'll reach financial close by the end of this year, which is a good thing. The ISO, the Independent Electricity System Operator in Ontario, has also announced they're going to be going through a new RFP, request for proposals, for new projects in and around Ontario. And so there will be emerging opportunities for new energy projects, and that might be more wind, more solar, more battery storage, and projects of the like, which I think are all good positive drivers of greenhouse gas reductions. We don't know where they will be sited geographically. So right now we're really in somewhat of a feeling out stage with a number of our partners about what those possibilities could be. And I will say that most recently we've hired a new vice president of business development, and one of our strategies as a development corporation is typically or traditionally we were bombarded by companies who needed us more than we needed them. Circumstances where they were continually coming to us because they needed us for grants or other types of market access. Our strategy moving forward is to pivot that a little bit and start to place ourselves in the market and qualify opportunities based on what our values are, what our priorities are, so that we can then start qualifying targets that make sense to us, as opposed to us responding to people who need us. So I think that as we continue to evolve and grow, the development corporation is going to become a little bit more scientific in how we tackle opportunities. And as the council knows, I've mentioned before, we are working on DevCorp 2.0, which will improve our alignment with the council and ultimately align us in terms of the best interests collectively with the council for the community moving forward. So I'm excited about what the future holds. I think the macroeconomic circumstances we're facing now, they're very real, where they're going to be here for the next 12 to 18 months at least. Interest rates are not going anywhere. So in circumstances like this, it's the perfect time for companies to pump the brakes, look at themselves and look at how they do things strategically, make the corrective moves that they need to make so that when the economy reemerges, we're that much more better informed and prepared.
Thanks for that, Matt. That makes total sense. I know I've been kind of even watching what's happening, with US and China and, the suspensions there and the discussions happening, it's to me, it's only going to get worse. And so, it's obviously got to get worse before it gets better. But I think, if we could look at ways, and again, this is just going back from some of our discussions we had at the Iroquois caucus the week prior to this, of really looking at ways of, engaging that true nation to nation, but also across the border with, with our American tribes. So I'm not sure if that's even ways that we could still push on other political areas, like the Jay Treaty, like border crossing issues, like all those pieces. But I think, if we could look at ways of, really trying to, that the economic recovery piece of things, that, that's what I'm really interested in. So do appreciate that. Thanks, Matt.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, Council, I will look to, if there's any further questions or comments, I'll look to the second. I believe there's one more motion to rescind, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, it's just the waive second reading. So 4-2. I'll need a mover and seconder on 4-2.
I'll move.
Moved by Audrey, seconded by Michelle. Any further questions or comments? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Favor.
Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Well, thanks again, Matt, and look forward to our next best steps here.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a great evening. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, Janice is with us. Okay, so our next delegation is our Executive Director at Woodland Cultural Center, Janice Montour.
Sago.
Hi, good evening, Janice. Nice to hear you. I'm going to pass the floor right over to yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you everyone for having me. I did submit a briefing note regarding just looking for support from the Six Nations Elected Council regarding a new capital campaign that we are looking at launching. As many of you know, we finished Save the Evidence campaign, which raised $23.5 million, and it was over 6 years. However, on the grounds, you know that there's two buildings. So there's the former Mohawk Institute Residential School dormitory building. And then there's the other building, which is currently our museum and art gallery space, but is also part of the residential school. It was the classrooms and gymnasium that was built in 1954. The building is in dire need of, another major repairs, but it's also not really, it was never really suited to be a museum, gallery, and cultural center. It was just retrofitted over the years. So I think with all the attention that's going to be on our site for the next few years, we wanted to sort of really highlight to a lot of not only just our communities that we service, Six Nations of the Grand River, Wata Mohawks, and Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, but also to the non-Indigenous population, really the resilience and of our people and the revitalization efforts that are happening in language and culture. So we're looking at starting a new capital campaign. The board of directors has approved a capital committee, which consists of Ava Hill, Ron Jameson, Kathleen Wynn, and our honorary chairs, Robbie Robertson, to develop a campaign that will raise the funds necessary to build a new Woodland Cultural Center building on the site. Again, I anticipate it would be a very, several years before this will happen, but we are looking for support to start this campaign. A similar letter was already submitted to the Haudenosaunee Confederacy Chiefs as well.
Thank you, Nyawa, Janice, for that. Questions, comments? Michelle?
So I'm willing to move this, and I wanted to commend Janice and her team on raising that 23 million. It's no easy feat in doing that. I know over the last couple of years, it really was, because of the news, it's, unfortunate, the news, and then they made their total campaign. So I'm really in support of the new campaign, and it's nice to see an innovative team and really out there developing and fundraising like we should be, right? Like, because, corporations have millions that they're willing to support.
Agreed. Okay, thanks for that, Michelle. So it's moved by Michelle. Is there a seconder?
I'll second it, Mark. It's Audrey.
Second by Audrey. Thanks, Audrey. Questions, comments? Sorry, Nathan, I seen your hand up, or were you looking to second?
I was going to second, but yeah, we're good.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that, Nate. And also, too, just want to reiterate Michelle's words of congratulations, Janice. I just had one question though. Is I know there was one fund last time, Ann Scott and I had met. There was I think it's about $100 million fund launch in relation to the residential schools in demolition or any of that piece. Obviously, we know we're keeping ours, but is that an opportunity to also access to that funding for this type of project?
Yes, absolutely. So having Kathleen Wynn on our capital committee is really helpful because she has all the connections to sort of the government people, federal and provincial. So she's really sort of keeping her ear to the ground about what government funding we can access for this type of project. So yes, that funding for the residential school commemoration fund is something we're looking at. And we're going to be looking at several others through, either the Ministry of Tourism, Cultural Heritage and Sport, as well as Canadian Heritage at the federal level.
Okay, perfect. And then also, is this in conjunction with is Survivor Secretariat a part of these discussions as well? And the only reason I ask that is when we're getting back all of our records and everything else and wanting to do something, extravagant in museum style to showcase all, obviously not all good, but it's the truth. Are they a part of these discussions as well?
They're more involved in regards to the restoration of the Mohawk Institute building. So that's where we'll be doing a lot of the, interpretation and when that comes to light. They will be informed as soon as the support is received from both councils. We'll be moving that as well to the Secretariat for their information as well, just also because we work alongside them with the GPR work.
Makes sense. Okay, perfect. Thanks. Thank you for that, Janice. So it's been moved and seconded. Not sure. Did I go to a vote? Forgot. I don't think I did. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Motion to waive second reading. Moved by Michelle, seconder.
Second it. Audrey,
Second by Audrey to waive second reading. All in favor?
favor.
Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Well, thank you again, Janice, for joining us this evening and wishing you all the best. You've done it once. I'm sure you actually done it a few times. You're well equipped to do it again. So keep up the great work.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Have a great evening.
Yes, you too. Bye.
Okay, Council, I'm going to continue moving along here. Our next item is the adoption of the General Council minutes of July 26th.
I'll move on the minutes, Melba.
I can second.
Okay, thank you, Melba and Michelle. It's been moved by Melba and seconded by Michelle. Are there any questions, further questions or comments? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Recommendations from the Human Services Committee, recommendation 6.1.
I'll move on that recommendation, Melba. You want me to read it, Mark, or
Sure.
you? Okay, moved by myself that the Six Nations Human Services Committee recommends to the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to sign Schedule F Form of Compliance Declaration issued pursuant to Multi-Sector Services Accountability Agreement between Ontario Health, formerly the Hamilton, Niagara, Haldeman Brant Local Health Integration Network, and the health service provider, applicable period April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. And I just want to comment to say when the acting director of health had mentioned this was necessary to actually have this recommendation in place, she found that it's very difficult to do that. There's numerous agreements that have to be signed, numerous reports that have to be submitted. And considering all the services that we have in the community, such as mental health, addictions, dialysis, psychiatric services, all those kind of things, which I'm not sure that all of the general community understand that this is very difficult, and a lot of services are provided for the community. Based on the difficulties would be some of the shortage of staff. It's still happening with the COVID situation. And a lot of them are overworked and taken off on stress leave. We have PSWs, not enough of them. Nurses who are still off and not come back yet, and moving elsewhere for various reasons. So I think we're doing very well in getting our reports in, and hopefully we'll continue to do better in the future where COVID will be in the past and not interfere with our services and our reporting that is necessary. So I thought I better mention that because it's really hard work to keep up with all the needs of the community, as Lan, who has taken over, has said. Very, very difficult. Thank you. I move on this recommendation.
I second Hazel.
Okay, thank you, Melba and Hazel, and also to you, Melba. Do agree with your comments. Always takes so much work, so do appreciate the ongoing work that we're doing here. So, is there any further questions or comments in relation to the motion? Okay, seeing or hearing none, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Favor.
Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Motion to waive second reading.
I'll move, Melba.
I second Hazel.
Moved by Melba and seconded by Hazel to waive second reading. All in favor? Any opposed?
Favor.
Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Under scheduling, recommendation 7.1, it reads that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve Councillor Sherry Lynn Hill to travel on Six Nations Gaming Commission business August 17th to the 19th to Albuquerque, New Mexico to participate in the Level 1 Commissioner training hosted by the Indian Gaming Association. I'm looking to mover and seconder to that motion.
I'll move, Melba.
Moved by Michelle, seconded by Melba. Any further questions or comments?
Question?
Michelle?
Does gaming fund that trip?
Yes.
for her? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any further questions or comments? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Favor.
Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Motion to waive second reading. Moved by Michelle, seconder.
Second.
Second by Melba to waive second reading. All in favor? Any
Favor.
opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Under the community safety, so we do have a presentation that they had requested to be in camera first until we'll go out to full council, which is in relation to the anti-bullying task force. So we'll just have to make a note, Tammy. I know they were originally scheduled for 7, so if we can maybe get a hold of Jen to let her know we're running a bit early. In the meantime, I'll shift over to new business, which is Michelle.
Okay, so similar to what Councillor Hill submitted, the Rivermen, they will be going on to the President's Cup. So last night, Jeff sent me a request. So I'm not sure if this is the place that we should be entertaining this or taking it to finance like we will for the ISC Worlds. So I just put it out there. I do think we should be supporting our teams, as well as I know there's going to probably be about 12 applications coming in for the boys that just went, and they're under 21 that just went to Winnipeg in Ireland to play lacrosse. So lots happening, as Sherilyn said, it's the end of summer. So we're going to be getting a lot of requests.
And I think this is the discussion that we had last. I think Helen had brought it up as we need to have some flexibility for these types of situations. I think even Sherry Lynn had mentioned, a lot of the teams don't necessarily know that they're going to go to the championship. They have to make it there, and it's always last minute in those predicaments. So if we can, Michelle, we'll add this on to general finance, because I think we should maybe get a bigger scope of everything. And then look to Anna Cecile as well. If we can, we'll put a note to her to come prepared so that we can have a good informed discussion.
Okay.
And make decisions at that point.
I anticipated that. So yeah, we'll defer to finance. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that, Michelle. That being said, I believe that's all we have for our open session of General Council of August 9th. I will now look to a motion to adjourn. Moved by Nathan, seconded by Michelle. All in favor?
Favor.
Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Well, thank you to those for joining us for General Council. I do apologize. Our comms lady is under the weather, so we were unable to go live this evening. So do apologize for that.